Hello YouTube, it is me, Raina, and I am back. So Sram is back, our Skam Croatia. I'm excited. So for the first episode, I really enjoyed it. This was basically a preamble to the season, but also a great start to the season. And I think, the reason why the episode was the way it was is because the characters are actually the youth in Croatia who go to school. They're still on holiday break this past week. Now, next week, I think they all go back to school. So next week, we will get the school scenes that we usually get from the original. But what they laid down here in the first episode, the groundwork for Lavaro as a character, I really, really like. To me, it was a really great start to his story, but also kind of a catch up with some of the older characters, like with Ava, with Yakov, introducing the new boys from the boys squad, introducing Emma, basically introducing all the new characters that we're going to get to know this season, and really getting to know Lavaro. I'll say my favorite clip of this episode was the one with his mother. Seeing how his mother was basically baking and really, going overboard in baking. You see all baking supplies all over the table in the kitchen, and she's really obsessed over this. So you'll understand why later. I'm not going to spoil that. I thought that was a great touch, and also the flower imagery this season. I'm going to keep an eye on that. People have picked up on that, and we see it again towards the end of the episode. I love flowers being used in fiction to symbolize the character's journey and what they're going to go through in a story. So I really like that. And also, as Lavaro as a character, we see him kind of down and out. He, Jokov says that he sleeps with girls and leaves them. Like he's basically has his player persona on, trying to fake the funk, dyeing his hair back to his natural hair color so he doesn't really stand out in a certain way. And we see him struggling, trying to be intimate with Emma and everything, and it's just not working, and things aren't just quite right. Like he says, like, this is Lavaro depressed, even though it's kind of a joke. It's some truth to that. Like, he's clearly going through something, and if you're watching this for the first time, you probably don't know, but you got the clue at the end of season 1. But, when we get towards the end of the episode, you probably kind of understand why. And then we get to the party that was planned for the end of this week, because there's always a plan at the end of a Skam episode. We finally get introduced to Ivan, who is this version of Evan. So we don't know about him yet. We haven't had the conversation with him. I was kind of disappointed about that we didn't get the little back and forth that we usually do with the Isak and Evan characters when they first meet. But for how the episode was structured and everything, I kind of dig that, and hopefully get that obviously in episode 2. But what we see of him and how Lavaro reacts to him, there's an interest there. You see how he's longingly looking at him, pulling up a little scooter, and the guys make fun of him and whatever. So that's like a little quirky thing that the Evan character does to make it kind of stick out amongst the crowd and everything. And they released his Instagram. You can go to his Instagram. It's Ivan. I can't pronounce it. I'm sorry. You go to the Sram HR to look that up. But his name is very interesting. Now, I cannot pronounce his last name. It's Croatian. It has, I'm assuming, Croatian accents at the top. But if you look up his name in particular, he is named after a poet and writer. A Croatian poet and writer who was writing anti-fascist rhetoric during like the 1930s and 40s. A very fascinating story, and it'll be very interesting how that plans out. We all know that all the Evan characters, that all the remakes, has an artsy side to them, so the possibility of him being a poet intrigues me, or a writer, or whatever may have you. I do not know. That's just my theory. I'm just putting it out there. But it's very on point that he's named after this specific Croatian writer / poet. And so I think that's going to be hopefully very important to his character and to the whole entire season. We got a little kind of interaction with them towards the end of the episode of them introducing each other, their names and whatever, and the flower showing up again, once again, symbolism. But overall, like I said, I think it was a great intro to his season. Like I said, it laid the groundwork and the foundation for Lavaro and his journey, the new characters, introducing Ivan, the most important character to the season. So what are your thoughts so far? Leave your comments down below, and bye YouTube.